The spotlight burns white-hot on the stage of the Eco Pearl Hotel's grand ballroom. Kingsley Okonkwo stands at the podium, his designer tuxedo catching the light as he grips the microphone with the confidence of a man who believes he's conquered the world. Behind him, a massive screen displays the company logo, Techvance Solutions, while 500 guests in glittering evening wear applaud. And now, Kingsley announces, his voice swelling with pride, "It gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce our new Vice President of Operations, a woman whose vision and brilliance have been instrumental to our recent success, Miss Vivian Chan." The applause erupts. Vivian glides onto the stage in a blood-red dress that hugs every curve, her smile radiant and triumphant. She kisses Kingsley's cheek, lingering just a moment too long before taking the microphone. In the back row, almost hidden behind a marble pillar, sits a woman in a simple navy dress. Her name is Mara Okonkwo. Her hands tremble as they clutch a brown leather folder. Tears stream silently down her face as she watches her husband celebrate another woman on a stage she built, in a company she owns, at a gala her money paid for. She stands. The folder falls open, revealing documents that will destroy everything. This is the moment the entire empire collapses. Before we continue, let me ask you something quietly. Where are you listening from right now? And what time is it in your part of the world? Some of us are hearing this story under the hot afternoon sun. Some in the calm of the night, when thoughts are heavy and hearts are open. Different places, one story, one lesson. If stories like this speak to your heart, please subscribe to the channel. Your like helps this story reach another soul. Your comment tells me you understand the lesson. And when you share, you may be saving someone from the same mistake. Now let us continue. 8 years ago, Mara Adeyemi was not the quiet, invisible wife sitting in the shadows. She was the only daughter of Chief Adeyemi, one of Lagos's most influential industrialists, a woman who'd graduated top of her class from London School of Economics and returned home with both an MBA and her father's entire business empire waiting for her. She met Kingsley Okonkwo at a tech startup pitch event in Victoria Island. He was 29, brilliant, passionate, and completely broke. His presentation was rough around the edges, his laptop held together with tape, but his vision for a Pan-African digital solutions company made her heart race. While other investors dismissed him, Mara saw something they couldn't: raw potential wrapped in determination. Her father, Chief Adeyemi, saw something else entirely. "That man has nothing, Mara," her father had said, his voice heavy with disappointment. "No family name, no connections, no capital. You are an Adeyemi. You cannot throw yourself away on a dreamer with empty pockets." But Mara had never been good at following rules when her heart was involved. She pursued Kingsley quietly, carefully. Coffee meetings became dinners. Dinners became late-night conversations about building something meaningful. Within 6 months, they were married in a small ceremony that her family reluctantly attended, their faces tight with judgment. Kingsley's startup was dying. He had the ideas but none of the resources. Investors kept passing. Bills piled up. Mara watched the man she loved slowly crumbling under the weight of failure. That's when she made the decision that would define the next 8 years of her life. Using offshore shell companies and anonymous investment vehicles, Mara began funneling money into Kingsley's business. The first angel investor appeared with 2 million naira, then another with 5 million. Major contracts suddenly materialized, all through her father's network, though Kingsley never knew. She took a position as a business consultant in the company, working from a small office, offering suggestions that Kingsley took credit for. Techvance Solutions exploded. Within 3 years they had offices in Lagos, Accra, and Nairobi. Within 5 years they were worth over 2 billion naira. Kingsley became the face of young African entrepreneurship, featured in magazines, invited to speak at conferences, celebrated as a self-made man. And Mara stood beside him, smiling, silent, letting him believe every word of it. She told herself it was love, that a man's pride mattered, that revealing the truth would destroy him. So she remained in the shadows, the consultant wife, the quiet woman who attended company events in modest dresses while her husband wore custom suits paid for with her family's money. But lately something had changed. Kingsley came home later and later. His phone was always face down. He showered immediately after work, scrubbing away unfamiliar perfumes. When Mara tried to discuss the business, He dismissed her. You wouldn't understand the complexities, Mara, he'd say, not even looking up from his laptop. Just focus on the home. 3 weeks ago she found the lipstick stain on his collar, a shade of crimson she'd never worn. 2 weeks ago, she discovered hotel receipts in his jacket pocket. 1 week ago she saw the text messages. V. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Kingsley. Same here. Dinner tomorrow? Just us. V. Always just us, my king. Mara's hands had shaken so violently she'd nearly dropped the phone. Who was V? It took her precisely 4 hours to find out. Vivian, 28 years old. TechVant's marketing director. Ambitious, beautiful, and utterly ruthless. The woman Mara herself had hired 18 months ago because her credentials were impeccable. Mara sat in her car outside the office building that night, watching through the tinted windows as Kingsley and Vivian exited together, laughing, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back. They climbed into his Mercedes, the one Mara's trust fund had purchased, and drove away. She cried until her chest ached. Then she stopped crying and started planning. The dining room of their Ikoyi penthouse was decorated with fresh flowers. Mara always kept fresh flowers. She prepared Kingsley's favorite meal: jollof rice with grilled fish, fried plantains, and her special pepper sauce. The table was set for 2, candles flickering between them. Kingsley barely looked at the food. I have some exciting news, he said, cutting into his fish with mechanical precision. We're doing a major restructuring at TechVant's. I'm creating a new executive tier. Mara's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Oh? What kind of restructuring? Vice president positions. 3 of them. Operations, technology, and marketing. He took a sip of wine, still not meeting her eyes. It's going to position us for expansion into East Africa. That sounds ambitious, Mara said carefully. Have you selected the candidates? Now he looked at her, and something in his expression made her stomach turn. It was pity mixed with condescension. The look you'd give a child asking about adult matters. I have. The board approved my recommendations this afternoon. Vivian will be VP of Operations. The room seemed to tilt. Mara set down her fork with exaggerated care, her appetite vanishing. Vivian, she repeated. The marketing director. She's brilliant, Mara. Absolutely brilliant. Her strategic vision has been instrumental in our Q3 growth. She understands the market in ways that... He stopped himself, but the implication hung in the air like smoke. In ways that you don't. I see, Mara whispered. We're announcing it at the annual gala next month. It'll be good publicity. Show that we're investing in top talent. He returned to his meal, the conversation clearly over in his mind. Mara excused herself to the bathroom and vomited. The next afternoon, Mara sat in a coffee shop across from Ruth Okafor, her best friend since university. Ruth was a corporate lawyer with a spine of steel and a nose for deception. He's promoting his mistress, Ruth said flatly, stirring her cappuccino with barely controlled fury. In your company. Using your money. It's his company, Mara said weakly. Legally, I'm just... Stop. Ruth's hand slammed on the table. Stop protecting him. You are the 100% shareholder of TechVant Solutions. Every share is held in offshore trusts registered under your name. I drafted those documents myself, remember? You own everything. The office buildings, the intellectual property, the bank accounts, everything. He doesn't know that. Which is why he's humiliating you in public. Mara, you need to tell him the truth. And then what? Mara's voice cracked. He'll hate me. He'll say I emasculated him, that I made him dependent, that I ruined his achievement. His pride will destroy us anyway. His pride is already destroying you. Mara had no answer for that. 3 days before the gala, Mama Grace came to visit. Kingsley's mother was a woman carved from iron will and traditional values. She arrived unannounced, as always, sweeping into the penthouse with her church group friends in tow, ready to inspect and judge. Mara, my daughter, Mama Grace said, though her tone carried no warmth. You're looking thin. Are you eating? Yes, Mama. Mama Grace's eyes swept the apartment, cataloging invisible faults. I visited Kingsley at the office yesterday. Very impressive. That young woman, the marketing director Vivian, she was there. So sharp. So confident. She was presenting to international clients in perfect English, commanding the room. Mara's chest tightened. She even knew I was Kingsley's mother without introduction, Mama Grace continued, settling into the sofa. Offered me tea, asked about my health, showed me the new campaigns. Now that is the kind of woman who matches a successful man. Bold. Visible. Not hiding in corners. The other women murmured agreement. A man who builds empires needs a woman who can stand beside him in the spotlight. One of them added. Not behind him in the shadows. Mara excused herself before they could see her tears. The anonymous message came 2 nights before the gala. Unknown number. Your husband's mistress is pregnant. Thought you should know before the big announcement. Mara read it 3 times, her entire body going numb. She called Ruth. Come to the gala with me, Mara said. I need you there. What are you going to do? Mara looked at the brown leather folder on her desk, the one containing every ownership document, every incorporation paper, every proof that Techvance Solutions belonged entirely to her. I'm going to stop hiding, she said. The Eco Pearl Hotel's ballroom was a cathedral of excess. Crystal chandeliers the size of cars hung from vaulted ceilings. Ice sculptures depicting the Techvance logo melted slowly on tables draped in gold cloth. A live band played smooth jazz while Lagos's elite mingled in designer clothing worth more than some people's annual salaries. Mara arrived alone, deliberately late. She'd chosen a simple navy dress, elegant but understated, and wore minimal jewelry. Ruth had wanted her to dress more dramatically, but Mara refused. I'm not here to compete, she'd said. I'm here to reveal the truth. She slipped into the back row of seats as dinner concluded and the program began. On stage, Kingsley was magnificent in his custom tuxedo, his smile bright enough to power the city. He spoke about vision, about innovation, about building a Pan-African future. He spoke about his success as though he'd carved it from stone with his bare hands. Mara's fingers tightened on the folder. And now, Kingsley's voice rang out. I have a very special announcement. Our company's unprecedented growth this year. 40% revenue increase. Expansion into 3 new markets. Partnerships with Fortune 500 companies. This didn't happen by accident. It happened because of strategic brilliance and fearless execution. He paused for effect. The room leaned forward. It is my tremendous honor to announce our new Vice President of Operations. A woman whose vision has been the engine behind our transformation, Miss Vivian Chan. The applause was thunderous. Vivian emerged from the wings like a goddess of war. Her red dress was a declaration, her heels weapons, her smile victorious. She walked to Kingsley with the confidence of someone who believed she'd won. She kissed his cheek. The kiss lasted 3 seconds too long. Cameras flashed. Mara stood. The motion was simple, quiet, but something about it rippled through the room. Conversations faltered. Heads turned. The applause sputtered like a dying engine. Vivian was speaking, her voice honey-sweet through the microphone. Thank you all so much. And special thanks to Kingsley for recognizing talent when he sees it, even when others might overlook what's right in front of. Excuse me. Mara's voice cut through the ballroom like a blade through silk. Every eye turned to the back row where the quiet wife was walking down the center aisle. Her heels clicked against marble with the rhythm of a countdown. Ruth followed 3 steps behind, her lawyer's face unreadable. Kingsley's face went pale. Mara, what are you? This isn't the time. Actually, Mara said, reaching the stage stairs. This is precisely the time. She climbed the steps. Vivian stepped back, confusion flickering across her perfect features. Mara stood between them, facing the 500 guests who'd fallen into absolute silence. Good evening, Mara said into the microphone, her voice steady despite her racing heart. For those who don't know me, my name is Mara Okonkwo. I'm Kingsley's wife. She paused. And I'm the founder and 100% shareholder of Techvance Solutions. The silence shattered into gasps. Kingsley grabbed her arm. Mara, stop this. She pulled free, opening the folder. 8 years ago, I met a brilliant man with a failing startup. I loved him. I believed in him. So I funded his dream. She held up the first document. This is the incorporation record from 2017. Registered owner, Mara Adeyemi. Operating through Adeyemi Holdings Limited. That's not, Kingsley started. This, Mara continued, holding up another paper, is the first investment of 2 million naira from anonymous angel investor. She looked directly at Kingsley. That was me. Every subsequent investment 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, all me. Every major contract you celebrated came through my father's network. The government deal in 2019? My uncle is the minister. The banking partnership? My father sits on their board. Vivian's confidence was crumbling visibly. She looked at Kingsley. Is this true? The office buildings we occupy, Mara said, her voice rising, owned by Adeyemi Properties. The luxury cars in the executive parking lot, purchased through my family trust. The international partnerships you're so proud of, all leveraged through connections I provided. She turned to face Kingsley fully now, tears streaming down her face but her voice like iron. I built you an empire. I asked for nothing except your love and loyalty. And you, her voice broke. You stood on this stage, in this ballroom that my money rented, and celebrated your mistress's promotion in MY Company. Mara, please. Kingsley reached for her, his voice desperate. I heard she's pregnant, Mara said, looking at Vivian. Congratulations. Vivian's face drained of color. Several guests gasped. Camera phones rose throughout the room. Mara pulled out the final document, a termination letter bearing the company seal and her signature as majority owner. Effective immediately, Kingsley Okonkwo and Vivian Chan are terminated from all positions at Techvance Solutions. Security will escort you from the premises. Your access to all company resources is revoked. She placed the letter on the podium and looked at the stunned audience. Enjoy your evening. Then she walked off the stage, through the silent crowd, and out into the Lagos night, leaving her marriage and her husband's world in absolute ruins behind her. By sunrise, the video had gone viral. Someone had recorded the entire confrontation and uploaded it to Twitter with the caption, Lagos billionaire's wife exposes cheating husband at company gala. Owns the whole company. Within 6 hours it had 3 million views. By noon, every major news outlet in Nigeria was covering it. By evening, international media picked it up. Nigerian tech CEO exposed as fraud. Wife was secret billionaire backer. Kingsley's phone wouldn't stop buzzing until he threw it against the wall. He was sitting in Vivian's cramped one-bedroom apartment in Yaba, a dramatic downgrade from the penthouse he'd been locked out of. His security access to the building had been revoked at 6 a.m. His credit cards were declined. His Mercedes was repossessed by lunchtime. Vivian emerged from the bedroom, her face bare of makeup, wearing an old t-shirt. She looked younger, smaller, nothing like the goddess who'd walked across that stage. The board called, she said flatly. I'm being sued for breach of contract and corporate ethics violations. Join the club, Kingsley muttered. This is your fault. Her voice was cold. You told me you built that company. You said you were self-made. You let me believe. I didn't know. Kingsley exploded. I swear to God, I had no idea Mara was. How could you not know your own wife owned everything? Vivian laughed bitterly. How stupid are you? The slap came before he could think. His hand connected with her cheek with a crack that echoed in the small room. Vivian touched her face, eyes wide with shock, then cold with hatred. Get out, she whispered. Vivian, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Get out. He grabbed his jacket and left. He had nowhere to go. Mama Grace arrived at Mara's family estate in Ikoyi like an avenging angel, her churchwomen in tow. Chief Adeyemi's security tried to turn them away, but Mama Grace bullied her way through to the front door. Mara met her in the sitting room, Ruth standing protectively at her side. You have destroyed my son. Mama Grace shouted, not bothering with greetings. You humiliated him in front of the entire country. What kind of wife does this? The kind who was cheated on, Mara said quietly. The kind who built her husband's entire empire in secret, and asked only for faithfulness in return. So what? Men make mistakes. You forgive him, you move on, you keep the family together. Mama Grace's voice shook with fury. Instead you chose pride and revenge. I chose dignity, Mama. Dignity. Mama Grace laughed harshly. You chose to destroy him. He's my son. My only son. And now he's lost everything because you couldn't be a proper wife. Ruth stepped forward. Mrs. Okonkwo, I think you should. And the mistress is pregnant. Mama Grace continued. My grandchild. You're denying me my grandchild. Mara's composure finally cracked. She's not pregnant, Mama. It was a lie. She lied to trap him, and it worked. And now you want me to forgive him for choosing her over me. Mama Grace stopped. What? Vivian-chan was never pregnant. It was manipulation. She wanted to secure her position, and Kingsley was fool enough to believe her. The older woman sank onto the sofa, the fight draining out of her. No, she told him. She lied, Mama. About everything. Just like he lied to me every time he came home smelling like her perfume. Just like he lied when he promoted her using my money, in my company, on a stage I paid for. Mama Grace covered her face with her hands. When she looked up, tears streaked her cheeks. I was wrong, she whispered. I praised that woman. I compared you to her. I told Kingsley you weren't enough. Her voice broke. I helped destroy my son's marriage. Mara said nothing. Please, Mama Grace begged. Please forgive him. He's broken, Mara. Completely broken. He's been sleeping in his car. He has nothing. His friends won't return his calls. His business partners have abandoned him. He's lost everything. He lost me, Mara said. Everything else was mine to begin with. He loves you. He loved what I gave him. He never loved me enough to stay faithful. Mama Grace left crying, her church women silent and shaken. 6 weeks after the gala, Kingsley sat in a beer parlor in Surulere, nursing his third bottle of Star. He'd taken a job as a sales representative for a small tech company. Minimum wage, no benefits, no respect. His manager was 24 and called him Mr. Kingsley, with barely concealed mockery. Vivian had fled to South Africa 2 weeks ago. Her last message to him: You destroyed my career. Don't contact me again. His phone buzzed. Another news alert. TechVance Solutions was trending again. Mara had announced a major rebranding under her leadership. The company was now called Adeyemi Innovations. She'd promoted 3 women to executive positions and launched a scholarship for young female entrepreneurs. In the photo, Mara stood surrounded by smiling young women, wearing a yellow dress that made her glow. She looked free, happy, untouchable. Kingsley stared at the photo until his vision blurred with tears. He'd had a queen who would have built kingdoms with him. Instead, he traded her for a woman who vanished the moment the money disappeared. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Mr. Okonkwo? A crisp professional voice. This is Joyce from Adeyemi Innovations Legal Department. We're calling to discuss the divorce settlement. Ms. Adeyemi is offering you 50,000 naira as a final separation payment. 50,000 naira. Less than he used to spend on a single dinner. That's very generous, he whispered, hating how broken he sounded. She also wanted me to tell you that she's moving forward with her life. She hopes you'll do the same. The call ended. Kingsley paid for his beer with coins and walked out into the Lagos night, a ghost of the man he'd pretended to be. 6 months after the gala, Mara Adeyemi stood before 300 young women at the African Women in Business Summit at the Civic Center. She wore a white pantsuit, her hair natural and free, her face calm with the peace that comes after surviving fire. I want to tell you a story, she began, her voice filling the auditorium, about a woman who loved a man so much, she made herself invisible so he could shine. The room was absolutely silent. For 8 years I funded my husband's dream. I built his company from nothing. I used my family's money, connections, and credibility to create an empire. And I did it all in secret because I believed that's what love required. I believed a good wife makes her husband feel like a king, even if she's the one wearing the crown. Some women nodded. Others leaned forward. But here's what I learned. Diminishing yourself doesn't make someone love you more. It teaches them that your light doesn't matter, that your worth is negotiable, that you are replaceable. Mara's voice strengthened. My husband stood on a stage I built in a company I owned and celebrated another woman. Not because I wasn't enough, but because I'd convinced him through my silence that I was less. I trained him to not see me. She paused, her eyes sweeping the audience. So I made myself seen. I spoke my truth. And I lost my marriage. But I gained something more valuable. I gained myself back. The applause started slowly, then built to a roar. Women stood cheering, some crying. After the speech, Mara was surrounded by admirers, but she noticed one woman standing apart. Mama Grace, thinner than before, her face lined with sorrow. They met near the exit. That was a powerful speech, Mama Grace said quietly. Thank you for coming, Mama. I came to apologize. Properly this time. The older woman's hand shook. I taught my son that a wife should be small, quiet, supportive without question. I taught him that women like Vivian, loud, ambitious, visible, were more valuable than women like you. I was wrong. Mara's throat tightened. Mama. He's working as a driver now, Mama Grace continued. For a logistics company. 12-hour shifts. He lives in a single room in Mushin. He asked me to beg you one more time. To give him another chance. Mara had prepared for this moment. She'd rehearsed her response 100 times. Mama, I loved your son with everything I had. I would have walked through fire for him. But love without respect is just slow poison. He didn't respect me. And the moment he put that woman on stage and called her brilliant, he told me and the world exactly what I was worth to him. He knows he was wrong. I'm sure he does. Now that the money's gone, I'm sure he knows exactly what he lost. Mara's voice was gentle but final. But I can't unlearn what I learned, Mama. I can't go back to being invisible. Some doors once closed remain closed forever. Mama Grace nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I don't blame you. I blame myself. She touched Mara's cheek. Be happy, my daughter. You deserve it. She left and Mara watched her go, feeling the weight of finality settle over her like a cloak. 2 weeks later, Kingsley sat in his room in Mushin, staring at his laptop screen. A news article. Adeyemi Innovations secures $50 million investment from international partners. Mara Adeyemi named among Africa's top 40 under 40. There was a photo. Mara shaking hands with investors, wearing an emerald green dress, her smile radiant. She looked like royalty. She looked like everything he'd lost. His phone rang. It was his manager from the logistics company. Kingsley, we need you to cover the night shift. Driver called in sick. Yes, sir, he said automatically. He hung up and looked around his room. 10 feet by 10 feet. A single mattress on the floor. Peeling paint. The smell of drains from outside. This was his empire now. On his laptop, Mara's face smiled at him from the screen. Confident, successful, free. He'd had a woman who would have built kingdoms with him. Instead, he'd chosen 15 minutes of applause for another woman on a stage his wife paid for. The regret was a physical pain in his chest, constant and sharp. A wound that would never heal. He closed the laptop, dressed in his driver's uniform and left for his shift. The Lagos night swallowed him whole. Just another forgotten face in the crowd. A cautionary tale about a man who had everything and threw it away for nothing. 3 months later, Mara sat in her new corner office overlooking Victoria Island. Ruth was with her reviewing expansion plans. You know he's been trying to contact you through mutual friends, Ruth said carefully. I know. And Mara looked out at the Lagos skyline, the city stretching endlessly toward the horizon. I learned something, Ruth. Some betrayals cut so deep the person you were before them dies. You can't resurrect her. You can only become someone new. She turned from the window. The woman who loved Kingsley enough to hide her light? She's gone. And I'm not interested in pretending she's still alive. Ruth squeezed her hand. Good. That evening Mara attended a charity gala. This time as the keynote speaker, the honored guest, the woman whose name was on everyone's lips. As she spoke about empowering the next generation of female entrepreneurs, she saw a figure in the back of the room. Kingsley, in a borrowed suit looking 10 years older, watching her with the hollow eyes of a man haunted by ghosts. Their eyes met across the crowded room. Mara didn't look away. She didn't smile. She simply held his gaze for 3 seconds, letting him see exactly what he'd lost, then turned back to her audience and continued speaking. When she looked again, he was gone. Epilogue. 2 years later, Kingsley Okonkwo still drives for the logistics company. He lives in the same room in Mushin. His mother visits once a month, bringing food and sadness. He is 41 years old and has nothing to show for the empire he once claimed to build. Vivian Chan is in Johannesburg, working in middle management, her name permanently tainted in Nigerian business circles. She never returned to Lagos. Mama Grace attends church every Sunday and prays for forgiveness for the role she played in destroying her son's marriage. Mara Adeyemi is now Mara Adeyemi Okafor. She married a childhood friend 2 years after the divorce, a kind man who knew her worth before he knew her wealth. They have a daughter named Grace. Adeyemi Innovations is now valued at over 5 billion naira. Mara mentors dozens of young women entrepreneurs every year, teaching them that their worth is not determined by those too blind to see it. She never speaks about Kingsley publicly, but sometimes late at night when her daughter is asleep and her husband is beside her, she thinks about the woman she used to be, the one who made herself small for love. And she's grateful that woman is dead, because from her ashes a queen was born. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Comment your thoughts on the betrayal, and tell me where you are watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below.